Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We have been working on this Williams F-14 Tomcat pinball machine for a customer. And they brought this in to us and wanted to see if we could fix it up. And the thing's in a kind of rough shape, but we've been going through it and getting it going. So in the last couple videos, we worked on the power supply, and then we worked on the MPU board, which basically runs everything on the machine. And we've got the thing up and running, and we fixed a bunch of battery damage on the MPU board, and now we were up to trying to work on the displays. The displays it's in display test right now. This is all we get, folks. Isn't this horrible? This is fairly pathetic. The top two displays don't do anything, and the bottom displays have 4 digits that work on each one and 3 digits that don't. So in this video, we are going to see if those displays can be saved. And we're going to show you how to test that on your own if you're trying to save yours, or if you need to replace them. And if you need to replace them, I would suggest an LED replacement board. So we're going to try to save them if we can. Now you might say, well, why are you going through that trouble? Well, let's save the customer a little money and to make a cool video. And I don't like just taking stuff out and throwing it away if it still has life left in it. So we're going to test it out. But it may be at the end of the video we're sitting here looking at one with a brand new LED display in it, because this is pretty severe. Now, the thing that worries me the most is the top two aren't doing anything. They ought to be doing something. They're not doing anything. So the top two glasses could be bad. The bottom two, since they're displaying half of the digits, you know that the glass themselves actually works. It's very rare for a digit to be missing off of a glass and it to be the actual glass. So if it's one of the driver chips or a transistor or a resistor or something, you can fix that very easily and inexpensively. So since those bottom two are doing something, the glass is probably savable, the bottom two. But the top two not doing anything could be bad glass, or it could also be a bad chip, bad connection. It could still be battery damage or chip damage on the MPU board, but we'll get into all that here in a minute. So, like I said, on our previous video, we worked on this MPU. Now on yours, if you're working on one of these that you picked up somewhere, hopefully you got a screaming deal on it. Hopefully you got it really cheap so you can afford to repair this display. But the problem with these is battery damage. So in a previous video, we worked on the board. We removed the battery holder and then cleaned up all of the alkaline damage that had leaked all over the board and screwed up so much. And we cleaned it all up and put new chips in. And then I tested each one of these chips for continuity and all of that. But we could have a situation where whichever one of these PIAs, which is these big 40-pin chips, whichever one of those runs the displays, has problems, or there is a trace damaged. This is the cable that runs to the displays, and you can see these two chips here, I believe, are the two PIAs that run it, and you can see that all of the traces for them run right underneath the original battery holder. So if the batteries start leaking, the first thing they do is attack the displays. Not the actual display themselves, but the connection to the displays. So it could still be a bad connection. Now, if you're working on these, do not unplug anything while they're turned on. You will fry the freaking... That might be what's wrong with it right now. Somebody might have unplugged it while it was turned on. There is this guy out front, across the street at the church, that is tripping. I mean tripping. I'm going to show him to you here in a second. This guy is a space cadet. He doesn't know what planet he's on. Okay, I'm going to show, but if he starts staring at me while I'm filming him, I might have to go fight him. So here you go. You want to see? You can't see with this. It's too bright. I got to be incognito about this. This is why you watch my channel, people. You get stuff like this. I'm going to make this real dark so you can see through the front window from where we're standing way back here. Okay. This guy. So we're going to... I gotta point a camera at him without him noticing. And I gotta zoom in too. So that's a little thing where they give free food away to people, and you have people show up and just do this all day. And he's gone. Oh, did he drop? He dropped something. All right, I think he's gone. He wasn't gone, but we'll ignore him for a little bit. Okay, so do not unplug anything while the thing's turned on. Like I said, we're working on this game. It's got a lot of issues. This is some kind of, we haven't even figured out where this goes yet. I think it had something to do with the credits down on the coin door or something. But we disconnected that from the power supply. So, to my knowledge, the power supply is good, which is kind of confirmed because you're getting some digits. If the power supply was bad, every one of these glasses runs off the same power supply. So you wouldn't get two that work and two that don't. Okay? So, but on yours, if you have just a completely dead display, it very well may be the power supply. But we've already ruled that out and worked on the power supply. Next, the MPU. If the MPU has problems, it very well could be your problem on the displays. And that still may be what's going on, but I think we've got that fixed. Fingers crossed. Okay? So we are now on to, we believe that it's something going on the actual display. So we're gonna look into how to test that and what we can figure out. I don't know if I should just look at it physically first and see if anything looks bad, or if I should break out the logic probe. I don't know. Let's see what we want to do. I might go ahead and take it off just so we can look at it and see if there's any obvious damage. If there's a resistor burn up or something, sometimes it can cause issues. But let me lay it down and take the board off of it just so we can get a better look at it, and we'll go from there. Okay, folks, so I pulled it out of the board, or the display panel, speaker panel, and I put it on a box just so that we don't have to worry about shorting it out to anything, because if you touch something metal on the back of it, you'll have issues. After it's been on a while, you can see that the final digit on the third and fourth player is weak. So that's because it's starting to outgas. So basically the gas leaks out of the things, and eventually you will lose the display, which is probably what's happened to the top two. But I figured we probably should check just to see if it looks like everything's getting to it. Now, you got to keep in mind when you're working on these, they're running off of positive 100 and a negative 100 voltage. And it changes it to, I think, 90 because of the chip's only rated at 90 or something. So see the one, it runs through a diode there to make the voltage 90 volts. Okay, so I've printed out the schematics here. And then I've started going through it and just seeing if we're getting our signals. So this is what I've found, and I'll show you here in a second. So this is player 4 and player 3. These are the ones that we're getting 4 digits working on. So the 4 digits, I put a check mark on. Those are the ones that are working, and those are the 3 that aren't. Those are the ones that are working, and those are the 3 that aren't. You'll see they actually use the same signals. Okay? And it comes from these 4 lines here and these 4 lines here. I said they use the same signals. They do not use the exact same signals. They use strobe 5 through 8 and 13 through 16. Okay, now those come from U6 and U4, which are 4050 chips. Do I have that right? I may be wrong about that. Let me see. 4001, TC 4001 BP is the name of the chip. 4001 BP. TC 4001 BP. Okay? So when I check those, pin 1, 2, 3 of U4. Pin 1 is pulsing. It's coming from the connector. Pin 2 is pulsing. It is a blanking signal on the ribbon connector. And then the output is pin 3. It's pulsing. See that little circle there? That means active when low. Is that right? Matt's here. Little circle on the schematic.
Yeah, that means it's
active when low, right?
Well, it means it's an inverted output normally.
Oh, okay.
Is it an input?
Output.
So he has an inverted output.
I think it means active when low, but he says inverted output. Inverted output.
That means the same thing. Inverted output is active when low, yes.
And it's pulsing, okay? So we're getting a pulsing output and pulsing on both of the inputs, all right? Except up here, U5, every input is pulsing and every output is stuck low. And then here, the one that's working, everything's pulsing. But on these, the inputs are pulsing and the output is stuck low. So every U7, all the outputs are low. U5, all the outputs are low. But look at this, okay? So this chip, U14, the 6118, half of them are pulsing and half of them are stuck low. Because half of them are coming from the one chip and half of them are coming from the other chip. But it's sent to two chips. So you've got the same exact thing going on the inputs of this one. This one drives player 1 and player 2, which both don't work. So the 6118s are both getting the input the same. So I should be getting half of player 1 and player 2 working too, because they're tied together. Okay. So I can test the inputs, but I can't test the outputs of a 6118. Now, how come I can't test the outputs of the 6118s, Matt?
You can't test the output of them?
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's because they're running on 100 volts. So the outputs are 100 volts.
Oh, yeah.
So if I touch this logic probe to it, no mas logic probe.
It would probably work for a brief second.
I'd get one shot out of it. Now, how could I test that, Matt? Go ahead. You want to say it. Go ahead.
Well, voltmeter?
You could put an oscilloscope on it.
Yes, you could put an oscilloscope on it.
So you could test it with an oscilloscope. I'm not going to do that. And Matt didn't even bring his oscilloscope. Now, I've got another one in the back. Look, people, I'm not hooking it up, all right? It's going to get too deep in the weeds on this, and I don't think it's going to help our situation. So we have a situation where, let's see here. I don't technically know for sure that it's not these two chips. It could be that both of these chips are bad, and that's why you're not getting any digits on the player 1 and player 2. But I don't know.
You could use a little neon bulb on a continuity tester.
I don't have one.
Oh, well.
The camera turned off. Matt was suggesting I could use the neon bulb on a continuity tester, but I don't have one. So I can't test that. So the other thing that I wanted to test was the ribbon cable. Now remember, I'm also testing this because I just worked on the board. So I kind of need to know that all the signals are coming off the board, you know, to make sure there's not a problem.
Right.
And so the other thing that I tried, so all of these signals are present. All of my inputs are present. So that's not the problem. So the MPU is not the problem on that. And then here is the ribbon cable, which if you look, it does all the alphanumeric stuff. Yeah. So player 1 and player 2 are alphanumeric, which means that they can display letters. Okay? And so the ribbon cable is what sends those signals. And so I checked all of the inputs, and they're all doing their thing. And all of the outputs, and they're all doing their thing. So these two chips are getting their inputs, but I can't check the outputs of these two chips. Hey, how come I can't check the outputs of these two chips, Matt?
Is it because they're at 100 volts?
Yes, that's exactly right. So that's my problem. So I can't check the outputs. Now, but I have all of my signals, so I think we're good. I think we've got two bad glasses. It's really common on a System 11. Matt's going to check it with the voltmeter. Will that tell us, though, if it's sending the signal?
If it's going that
I'm not
slow,
going to let you hook all those up to this thing. It's like little legs of a chip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That can't work.
I mean, if it's pulsing that slow, you should be able to do it.
You think so? Just like on a pin?
Yeah.
Okay, but what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to show you the pulsing. So, so on these chips, pin 2 and pin 3, so like 3 is the input and 2 is the output. So I'll show you. So I've got my logic probe hooked up to C1. C1 is across the 5 volt. Well, that's not it on the schematic. Anyway, I looked it up. I mean, I measured it, and it's at 5 volts. So I was able to hook my logic probe to the little capacitor there. And then if you very carefully check pin 3, pulsing away. That's your input. Now, why did it go low? It's because it's changing what it shows on the display. Depending on what's showing, you know, some segment data isn't needed, blah, blah, blah. So that's 3, that's the input, and then 2 is the output. So it's all doing its thing, and each one of those is doing that. Did you think I fried it? Ah, you thought I fried it. The reason it disappears is because so they should all be doing those numbers, and then it's going to go to 0 or what up here? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That was on 8, whatever. Okay, so Matt, if this chip was bad, it should be pulsing 100 volts coming out of it. But I guess we could just use a multimeter and test and see if 100 volts is coming out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't be able to tell the timing, but, you know, you'll see if 100 volts comes out.
If the chip was bad, what would it be doing, though? It probably wouldn't be putting anything out.
Yeah, it'd probably just be dead.
Dead. Dead. Okay, so maybe we're going to try that. But I think we got 2 bad glass displays, is what I think. They don't even look that good. Look really close right there. That looks damaged. Now look really close right there. Also looks damaged. And then on top of that, you've got these that cannot be fixed. So I got 2 options here, Matt. I'm going to mess with this a little bit longer just so I can get cool stuff for the video. But my 2 options are I replace all 4 pieces of glass. They're like $60 a piece.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Let me hear the next option first.
The next option is I buy a brand new LED display board that's about $160.
So you said $60 a piece?
$60 a piece. You need 4 of them, and then you have to solder them in.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the LED kit.
You won't think the LED? You think?
I think.
But I don't like. I don't like LEDs.
Yeah. I just worry about getting bad displays because you have to get them used, don't you?
That's a good point. No, you can get new ones, but
oh, okay.
Actually, I like LEDs when it comes to the displays. They look real cool. So I think we're going to go with a new LED. But I had to at least test it. I think I still might swap the 1 chip though to see if I can get the other 3 digits to work on the bottom too, just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
And I think we'll check to see if 100 volts is coming out of those other chips, just to see if it seems like the chips are good. But I think we've got 2 bad glasses and 2 that are halfway bad. So I don't. When we talked to the customer, he wanted us to make it as nice as possible, within reason.
Yes.
He didn't want to go crazy, but I think we're probably.
Oh yeah, I forget this is for a customer.
Mm-hmm. So let me see if we can figure out how to check if there's voltage coming out of those chips. Because if we get lucky and it's just the chips. You know, if all that was wrong with this board was the 3rd and 4th player, the last digit was a little flaky, might be passable. So yeah, let me see if we can figure out how to check the voltage coming out of those chips with a voltmeter. Okay, well I have confirmed you cannot check the output of the 6118s with a voltmeter. It just goes, the meter goes nuts. It can't catch it. So I'm thinking it's going too fast.
Yep.
Is that what you're thinking, Matt?
I think that meter just, yeah.
So it's giving us like 0.01 volts on something that, now the inputs you can check, they're like 5 volts. Or yeah, there's like 5 volts because it's a strobe off the Other side.
But they might go too
you'd
fast,
think
too.
that, yeah, you'd think that that would actually be like 3 volts or something if it was strobing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pulsing.
Was it even showing up when you tested it?
Yeah, like 0.5. The inputs were like 0.5. I mean, not 0.5, 5 volts.
Okay.
I don't know. But you can't test it, or at least I can't.
Not with that.
Other people may be able to.
Yeah.
So I cannot test the chips. I guess I could just swap one just to be sure, but I'm pretty resigned to the fact that the damn glass is bad. But what I am going to do, just for gills, by the way, I'm not charging the guy for all of this because this is just me playing around, basically.
Yeah, for fun.
So I'm not charging the guy. We don't charge by the hour. We charge by the job. So I'm going to charge him for putting a new display in. I'm not going to charge him for I played with the old display for 4 hours while I filmed the video and then put a new display in. So I'm not going to do that. Just in case you're wondering. But what I think I am going to do is I'm going to replace one of these TC 4001 BPs here. Because if I can, just to see if I get the other half of the third and fourth displays working. That'd be kind of cool. I need to make sure I do the right one. Yeah, okay. So it's U7 and U5, I believe, may be bad. So I'm going to replace one of those and see if that gets me anywhere on that part of it. And then just out of curiosity's sake. So let me go see if I've got any of those, and we'll swap her in. Okay, folks, so I looked back at the video from before I worked on the PCB, and I had more digits. Arcade game behind us decided to talk. I'm missing the first 3 digits on the third and fourth player, and I'm missing player 1 and player 2. But before I had pretty much all of player 3 and player 4. But now half of player 3 and player 4 are missing. So it's got to be something on the board. So if I get a new display in, it's not going to work until I figure out what's going on the board. So I'm going to pull it back out, and we can look at the board and see what's going on. Basically, those signals, the wiring all looks fine, but those signals come from the connector J2 and J1 down to the alphanumeric board, and they come directly from this 74154 through one of those SRC7 and SRC8s that we messed with, and then out a few of these connectors. So I kind of want to get that where that's working good first, where I at least get back to where we were, and then we can swap a new LED board in it if we can't get any kind of peep out of the top two players. Okay, it's making more sense now. So remember, I had everything at U8 wasn't outputting right, and then everything at U3 wasn't outputting right, or whatever. I might be looking at the wrong schematics, but you get my point. This chip and this chip weren't outputting right. Well, if you trace those back, it was pulsing, right? So I'm getting a pulse, but my theory is that it's not correct. So what I'm doing now is, it goes back to, I've been listening to the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It goes back to, on that board, a 74154 is the output. So here is the output table for 74154. And here are the outputs 0 through 15, okay? So I have a problem with output 0, 1, 2, and 3, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So if you look, here are the inputs, A, B, C, D, and depending on if they're low or high, you get a high or low on the output here. Now again, it's working, but it must not be right because you're not getting any of the... even though those chips are seeing the pulse, it doesn't like it. It's not outputting, the timing's off or something like that. Okay, so all we need to figure out is what do 0, 1, 2, and 3 and 8, 9, 10, and 11 have in common? Well, for it to be 0, 1, 2, or 3, see that first one? See how 0's low? So you see where A, B, C, and D need to be. And so those 4, what's common is C is low. And then when it goes down to 5, 6, 7, and 8, C is high. Oh, I'm sorry, 0, 1, 2, and 3. When it goes to 4, 5, 6, and 7, C is high. And then whenever it goes to 8, 9, 10, and 11, C is low again. So my C input is either messed up or this 74, 154 is messed up. So we're going to pull the board back out and see if we've got a good connection between C, the input, the C input on that 74, 154, and if not, we might have to swap the chip. Okay, folks. So, if you've been paying attention, I hope I haven't lost you. I've been messing with this thing for forever. Seems like forever. But guess what? I think I've got it. So this is C. That's the one that's screwed up. We think. Because of the logic table, right? But look at this. Oh, what is this? What is going on right here? Why is there something tied to C? What the hell? Right? So let me find that area. I'll show you what's going on. Yeah. So this U51, this line right here is an output, and then that C is an input, but it branches off. It branches off. So this is all pulsing, this is pulsing, this is pulsing. All of this seems fine, right? But I don't have an oscilloscope hooked up, so I can't tell for sure. But even if I did, I wouldn't know what I was looking at. Okay, but look, it branches off, and it also comes down here and does something. So what does it do down here? So see, it's the second line here. It's that line. So it goes over to the next page. Whoop, if I can find it. Okay. So it's this line here, this second line, and it comes across, and it comes down, and it runs into this chip, U36. Now you can kind of tell by the direction they have the triangle here that this is the input and this is the output. Okay, and then it goes through a capacitor. This is all the area of the board that was rotted, absolutely rotted. So I replaced all of this crap. Okay, so since it's worse now than it was before I messed with it, you know it's something I did, right? So I looked at this, it's good. 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 I looked at this, it's brand new. I looked at this, it's good. All this stuff's new. I looked at this, it's good. But what the hell do we have here? C58 is a 1 microfarad capacitor, but I had put in a 0.1 microfarad capacitor. And that ain't right. You can't do that. What's he walking around with another man's blood in his jacket for? You got to figure that one out. I put the wrong cap in. So what was going on? So with the wrong cap in here, now look at this too. See, so this arrow means voltage, right? And this timer here creates this blanking signal. See how the signal has a little arrow where it's leaving the board? So this timer is creating the blanking signal, which you need for the displays and stuff like that. But guess what? I got the wrong damn cap here on the THR line. Y'all probably know what that is. I don't. But that cap's wrong. So it's either screwing up the blanking signal, or since we figured out that it looked like it was something on that third line, I mean, if that third line is screwed up, it would give us exactly what it was giving us, right? So I think it's like backfeeding or something, like it's drawing too much current because it was the wrong cap or something, you know. So this was all out of whack. You know, this is all figured out. You know, they're using a certain capacitors here on purpose. They're using certain resistors on purpose. Well, if this is off by a metric of 10, then this is all screwed up. So it was pulling down that third line or amping it up or something, right? So it's screwing up that third line, the C line. Oh yeah, it's back. Oh yeah, it's back. All right, so now, good news and bad news. The good news is the board must be fine because it's displaying all 7 digits on the bottom 2 displays. The bad news is the top 2 displays are fried. So we're in the same boat. So I think we still need the LED display. What? It's talking to me. I think we still need the LED display. So unfortunately, we weren't able to save it. Now, I mentioned earlier, I'm not charging this gentleman for all this troubleshooting on the display. It's just, I'd like to know exactly what shape this thing's in before we, bite the bullet and spend the guy's money on a new display for him. But he mentioned that whenever he dropped it off that he kind of, we might have to order a new display for it. So let's see what a new display is going to do, since we now have apparently the PCB sending out the signal, and we've just got the top 2 alphanumeric displays not working. We have got in our package from Marco's Specialties everything pinball. Check it out. No. I already checked to see what was in it. Oh, what I got in here? I don't even remember. Is that... Okay, so this is what we got. You got to be careful that you get the right one, because they're a little different depending on the game. Okay. So these go on the front to kind of block out, make it look more like the ridge. Kit contents: 1 master board, revision A. 2 foam light shields. Installation time about 20 minutes. I think I could do it in 20 seconds. Tools required: a 1/4-inch nut driver and or Phillips screwdriver. Failures from improper installation are not covered under warranty, so don't test them, people. Okay, so basically you just bolt this sucker in. And the cool thing about this is there is a little potentiometer on it so you can adjust the brightness. So this particular one, it'll work on Big Gun Cyclone F-14 Tomcat, but only the late models: Fire, Space Station, and Swords of Fury. So the late models, where do they mention that more? Did they mention that more? I don't see anywhere where they mention it. Apparently there's some of them that used a slightly different setup. Okay. So we're going to mount this sucker in the board so we can finally have some displays that work. Look at that. Brand new, beautiful displays. And there's a test button. That's pretty cool. Down here it tells you what they go in. Time Machine and Playboy, which were Data East games. Okay, so let me get the little thing that it mounts in. Here is the speaker panel, cleaned up pretty good. That's about a 6-inch, and then this little tweeter looking thing was unplugged. This bracket here's a little bent. Somebody's been messing with that. This one's about right though, so I'll bend that back. But we're going to go ahead and mount the display in. I put the little foam things on it. Let's throw it in there and see how it looks mounted. It's all starting to come back to life. What? We haven't even messed with the light bulbs yet. It's starting to look a little better. Boy, those displays really help, don't they? So I'm going to put it into display test like we had at the beginning of the video. Boy, the light show on these are cool, man. It's cool, man. Wait till we clean it up. Wait till we get this sucker looking good. Okay, I'm going to put it in display test like we had at the beginning, if I can figure out how to do that. Wrong button. There we go. And then I'm going to show you what the brightness thing is capable of. Of course, everything's working good. Okay. So there is a little brightness control, and they have conveniently placed it right here on the top where you can easily get to it. And so, let's see here. Well, so basically I had it all the way up. You can make it dimmer if you want. Now, I don't believe that having it all the way up will damage the displays or anything. But you know, you might get in a situation where you wanted a certain brightness. That has a little control on it. But I think it looks great. What do you think? I think it really needed that. Okay, so it's definitely getting there. So let us know what you think. Leave your comments down below. I wish we could have saved that old one, but if the glass is bad, there's nothing you can really do. But we're getting there. So that thing, I looked it up. That thing was $199 plus shipping, plus tax. So you're looking at about 220 bucks. But I haven't had one of these, knock on wood, that once... Whew, now I die. That once I put the display in, that it goes bad. So I think the LED ones should last a long time. So hopefully that'll make it a lot better. So leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you as we work through this thing. Make sure you're here for the next video. It's going to be even cooler, right? And check out our website. Go to lionsarcade.com. It has a picture, it has prices and pictures, descriptions of all of the games that we have available for sale right now, or you can just go check them out if you're into that kind of thing. Whew. You can also go to our parts page on there where we sell like some of our merchandise and some of the things that we use when we're working on the machines, stuff like that. So go check that out. Boy, most of these lights work. Weren't about half of them out before? How in the world did I get it where it's christining itself? But check out our parts page. We sell our t-shirts, coffee mugs, stuff like that. If you want to support the channel and buy some of that stuff, we appreciate those of you who have done that. And also those of you who have been using our Amazon links. So if you don't know about that, there is a link down below to Amazon. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, boy, the light show's awesome. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, click our link first, or if you bookmark our link, every time you go to Amazon, it gives us a piece of the money and doesn't charge you any extra. It just gives us a tip because you clicked our link first and we sent you there. It's like an advertisement, right? Which is what I just did. Slid it right in there on you. And then also, finally, but not last. Finally, last but not least, that's it. Last but not least, make sure to check out my brother, Donnie, who is literally my brother. The name of his channel is My Brother Donnie, here on YouTube. I wonder if that had anything to do. The light's looking better now. Maybe I'm just tripping and they were always like that, but I think they were screwed up. I wonder if that had anything to do with that cap. I don't know. It was on the blinking signal. Does the blinking signal do anything with the lights? I don't know. But check out my brother Donnie. If you like watching us work on these old pinball machines, you may like watching he and I work on old vehicles. We've got some old buildings that we're working on, trying to revitalize the downtown area of this small town near here that has some old buildings in downtown. We're trying to fix them up. Let's go check that out if that sounds like something you might be interested in. He's on all the videos and I'm on some of them. So, boy, what a beautiful light show. And I really like the display. So I think we got a lot accomplished just tracking that all down and making sure that we know what was going on. So make sure to subscribe to us if you haven't already, and we will catch you on the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. Game over.